Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Have At It, episode 80. My name is Ben Cornett, and you are watching this live on my YouTube channel, Ben Cornett 9015, as well as on Facebook in the Ben Zone Facebook group. How is everybody doing this morning, this afternoon, wherever you're watching, what time you're watching? Yeah, this is a little unusual for me. I don't usually do shows like this in the morning here. This is 8:38 local time here in Las Vegas, but here we are. So I wanted to get this episode in. I was gonna do one last night, but there were some things that came up and kind of occupied my time, so I wasn't able to get on here like I wanted to. But I need to get this one in before we got the two big games tomorrow. Obviously, there's some two of these games very good. One of them's a third meeting divisional matchup, and the other is a matchup we pretty much see every year because both teams finish first place in their division. So yeah, I think these two games are going to be very good games. Hopefully they are. Anyway, I mean, that's I would say usually the conference title games are the best ones to watch. Maybe better than the Super Bowl because you get to find out who's going to the Super Bowl. They're more competitive. People want to get to the Super Bowl. Players, coaches, it's like the ultimate destination for a lot of these guys, is their dream is to play in a Super Bowl, and win one as well. So to me, the conference title games have always been really the games that I look forward to the most. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the Super Bowl is great and everything. I look forward to that every year. But like I just said, the conference title games, the ones that determine who goes to the Super Bowl from each conference, to me are probably the most competitive games. Because if you want to get there, you gotta grind it out. So that's what makes it fun to watch. Um, but before we do that, I do want to talk about the coaching hires real quick. Won't get on too much of a tirade here. Obviously, we all know that starting the beginning of the week, Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, took the Bears head coaching job. I think that's a good move. Bears, you know, on the surface made a pretty good hire. Now, obviously, this is definitely going to help Caleb Williams. Needs an offensive guy to, guide him, help him out from the coaching standpoint, but also, from a, mental standpoint, you know, get Caleb Williams' confidence back. Again, he's a rookie, so he went through the growing pains, and one of my concerns has always been with this Bears organization that it's not the greatest. I mean, they don't have a great track record, especially lately. They've been, you know, kind of irrelevant. Let's be honest. I mean, the losing seasons, the questionable coaching hires, the just a lot of the front office decision making hasn't been the best. But you know, I think if you're a Bears fan, you feel like this time it's certainly different because you got a guy coming in that's the last few years been the architect of that Lions offense that's been really well, one of the top offenses in the league. So, you definitely have confidence in that. And that's great to see. For Bears fans, I just want them to finally see their team get off the snide and start having more success. I think it's good to have a big market team like Chicago back in the limelight, as far as like, postseason stuff like that. So hopefully that works out for him. Speaking of big markets, New York Jets, another team that's been dealing with bad ownership, seems like they made a great hire with Aaron Glenn, another Detroit Lion coming off the coaching staff, defensive coordinator for Detroit, coming to the Jets. Aaron Glenn did play for the Jets throughout his career. So he knows that team, knows that franchise. I think it's a good move. Although, my personal opinion, I would have went with like a more experienced guy, as far as like NFL coaching, guy that had coaching experience. I know Vrabel was talked about, but he took the Patriots job. He had actually Mike McCarthy was out there to interview him. Brian Flores was out there as well. I would have liked to see Flores get the job there. I think another reason maybe why a guy like Brian Flores didn't get the job, I still believe he has that lawsuit going on with him in the NFL right now. So that could be maybe what's keeping ownership and front offices from actually making the move to put in Flores. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know, but still, that would have been a good move. To bring in a guy like Brian Flores, guy again, coached a great defense with Minnesota. He coached in the league before with Miami. I know that didn't end well, but but that's Miami. Let's be honest here. Miami's another team that has ownership issues, and they've had some success with Mike McDaniel, but again, I think that's just limited, in my opinion. They haven't really gone far. They didn't make the playoffs this year. I know, Tua was out with injuries, but I don't know. I think Flores would have been a good choice for the Jets job. He is from the New York area, I believe, Brooklyn. So, yeah, I mean, but they went with Aaron Glenn. Again, he knows the Jets organization. He's been there. He's been there through the good and the bad. So, hopefully it works out for him. Hopefully they get it right this time. The Jets, Woody Johnson, the owner, kind of just stay out of things, let the front office do their job, and go from there. So, best of luck to that organization. Also, here in Vegas, we got another one coaching hire, Pete Carroll. He's taken over the Raiders job in the organization. I think it's a pretty good move. Now, I know there are some questions about his age, 73. Is it a good move long term? I look at it like this. You need a guy that has experience, that he's not your normal 73-year-old guy. Okay. He's very he looks like a 40-year-old. He moves like a 40-year-old, acts like a 40-year-old. So he's going to bring that, that confidence, that excitement, that energy that this team really needs. I mean, they just do. And, they need a lot of things. So I think it's a good move, again, with the experience, with the Bucks, they hired John Spytek. He's the GM now. Kind of a blow to the Bucks. So hopefully for Pete Carroll, this does work out here. And like I said, there's talks about possibly, I've been hearing some talks here in Vegas, like moving up in the draft to draft Shedeur Sanders. So, but we'll get to that when it comes draft time. Speaking of the Bucks, before we get to that hot topic of the day, the Jaguars. Yes, they have found their head coach as well, Liam Cohen, the Bucks offensive coordinator. And yeah, well, let's get right into it. Before I do, let me just sip my morning Joe. So quite a week. Let's backtrack to Wednesday, where Liam Cohen, he verbally accepted the job to come back. He would be the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. And didn't come, and we thought, oh, great, cool. He's got another year, more continuity. Baker's going to have an OC that's, going to be there longer than a year. Great. We all thought that. I thought that. Then Thursday came along. The Bucks apparently were, reports were saying that they were trying to get a hold of him and they just couldn't get a hold of him via phone, voicemail, text, what have you. Then Liam, I guess, said that, or he talked to Bulls, I guess, like saying that his kid was sick and they were at the doctor's. But there were reports saying that he had gone to Jacksonville without nobody knowing to talk to the Khan family, Shad Khan, who owns the Jaguars, and they worked out a deal. Now, before that, the day before, the Jaguars fired their GM Trent Baalke, and by the way, I think that's at least one smart move they made. Baalke is a terrible GM, and I think the Jags realized that's what cost them their chance to get Cohen the first time. It was that Liam decided, okay, I'm going to go back to Tampa. So what did Shad Khan do with Baalke? And now, let's resume talks with Liam Cohen, try to get him back. And they offered him, from what I'm hearing, $13 million a year. So yeah, and then we find out yesterday morning, Cohen, or was it yesterday morning? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'm still trying to wake up. That's why I got the coffee going. That he has accepted the Jaguars job. So it's official. He is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, there's a lot of people upset about this, Bucks fans, and they have every right to be upset. I mean, it was a shady move. For me, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Look, there's 32 jobs in the NFL for head coaches. Go get it if you're Liam Cohen. Why not? If they're offering you $13 million, they offered me $13 million, I'd be in Jacksonville right now. Look, preferably as a fan, it kind of sucks because once again, Baker is going to have another offensive coordinator. And I think with Jacksonville, and I'm not a Jacksonville Jaguar hater, I'm just letting you know that that organization's been trash for a while. Cons are not very good owners. Not from a financial standpoint, just from a football operation standpoint. A lot of this has to do with, this reclamation project that is called Trevor Lawrence, trying to save his career, whatever is left of it. We'll see what happens. I'm not very confident that, Cohen's going to be able to, have success there. I mean, probably more because it's the organization, not necessarily him. But who knows? Maybe he will. For me personally, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And I know a lot of fans are upset about the way he did it, and that's fair. He should have been more upfront. There were reports saying that he was doing stuff like this when he was at Kentucky. Who knows? But again, best of luck to him. I know a lot of people don't wish that, but I'm not a hater either. Go get your bag. This may be the only chance he gets. You take advantage of it while you can. So, yeah, and then these fans, a lot of them are, making death threats and everything like that to the family online, and I mean that kind of bullshit I can't tolerate. Like, come on, don't let this guy live rent free in your head. Okay, I've moved on, and the Bucks are going to move on. They're going to find a offensive coordinator. They've had success the last couple of years. So, and Jason Light's going to be fine. He does a great job. Confident that he'll get it together. So, I'm not going to worry. As far as this whole thing about firing Bowles, promoting Cohen, like, listen, I wouldn't. Why fire Bulls right now? He's won 3 straight division titles. He's, been to the playoffs every year. And, I know fans think that Liam Cohen's, some of them think that he's like the next Sean McVay or something. And listen, he's only been an OC for 1 year in the NFL. Let's relax a little bit. Like, we don't know if he's going to be the next McVay or not. As far as Bulls goes, he's still the head coach. He's not going anywhere. Now, I will say this, and before we get to one more coaching hire and my title picks, and I'll get to the comments in a minute. Here's what I will say about Bulls. Is he a top 10 coach? No. But he's a good coach, and he's not a bad coach. Okay? He'll be fine. Now, I will say this time next year, if we're in the same predicament, the Bucks, win the division and have an early playoff exit, then I think it would be fair to start talking about his job security, because by then it's been 4 years, and at some point, is it a situation where he can only get you so far? So that's how I look at it. Give it another year, because again, you have Evans for another year, you have Baker for another 2 years, at least one, because he's got guaranteed money, and then next year's an option. So you just go from there. See what happens. He's having success right now. Why tear apart a good thing? And again, Bulls is not my favorite coach. There's some questions about his clock management, stuff like that. But you're not going to fire a guy that's won 3 straight division titles. Why would you? Okay? Like, let's see what happens next year. One more coaching hire. The Cowboys, once again, found their puppet. That's Brian Schottenheimer. He's going to be the head coach of the Cowboys. Again, it's just another guy Jerry can control. Okay? That's all it is. No more, no less. He'll control Jerry. Jerry will control him. Tell him what to do. Tell him what to eat. Tell him what to poop. Tell him when to poop. Typical Dallas Cowboys. That's all. Jerry's the head coach. Has been, always will be. So that's how I feel about that hire. And the only team left that's not hired a head coach is New Orleans. And haven't heard anything yet on that, but we'll see how that plays out. I know Aaron Glenn was one of the favorites, but he took the Jets job. So as soon as we hear anything, we'll let you know. All right. Got comments in here. Thanks for being patient. Zagna, thanks for tuning in, bud. How you doing today? He says, good morning, Mr. Cornett. Good morning to you, Mr. Zagnif. How are you doing, sir? And he says, but sadly, these young players don't have as much respect for the people in leadership positions as they used to. Good luck to Pete. Yeah, and, the Raiders need a guy with experience to come in there and turn it around. Hopefully, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, can, just back off, let Pete do his thing, let Spytek do his thing, and, build within the draft. Might have to give might have to wait a year before this, thing develops. They got to get a quarterback. I'm not confident about this quarterback class. And Cam Ward's the best of the worst, but we'll see how it plays out here in Vegas. But we'll talk about draft stuff when that time gets here. We got one more comment here. Here's Johnny Dean. What's going on, bud? Thanks for tuning in. The hell you doing a live show this early, Ben? Well, as I explained when I started, I was wanting to do one last night, but things came up, so I had to take care of that stuff, and I'm doing one today. So I wanted to get it going before the games start Sunday. I got to get my picks in. Talk a little bit about the coaching hires. I don't know if you tuned in about the Liam Cohen situation. So, yeah. So, but thanks for tuning in, Johnny. So, real quickly, let me get to my conference title picks, and then I got to head out. Quick, so let me get to those. The Commanders against the Eagles. This is going to be, I think, a very good game. And Washington's just on a roll right now. Philly's very good. They got Saquon. As far as the injuries go, haven't really heard anything about any injuries from both teams. Everybody seems to be healthy, ready to go. So this should be a very good game. Again, division game, third meeting between these two. My pick is I'm going Washington. I am going with the Washington Commanders. I think they're going to pull off the upset. I feel good about this. Look, there's a lot of pressure on Philly, There really is. They're one of the favorites. And I feel like right now that pressure's on them. Washington has no pressure. And Caleb Williams looks like, or I'm sorry, Jaden Daniels, I should say. He has no pressure. He doesn't feel like he has any pressure on him. He's got ice cold veins. He's just playing like an assassin right now. And they're just on a roll. It's just, you just feel like a few years ago when it was the Bengals, like they went to the Super Bowl. Nobody expected that. I feel the same way with Washington. I feel like this team, has no pressure on them, no expectations. And they're going to go in there and they beat Philly earlier this season. So they're confident in that. And Philly's got Saquon. And I will say, if the Commanders can control, front, the trenches, not let Jalen Carter get wild in that game, keep, Jaden upright, and run the ball well. I really like the Commanders in this game. I think they're going to win. I'm going Commanders over the Eagles, 24-21. It won't be a high-scoring game. Philly's got a good defense, but I think the Commanders are going to pull it off. I really do. And then finally, the big game, the Bills and Chiefs, round number 400. I mean, they've played so many times, it's not even funny. Bills have dominated the regular season against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have dominated the Bills in the postseason. Will that change this time? I pretty much think outside of Kansas City, everybody wants that to change, and they think that's going to happen. And the Chiefs, I think, are really vulnerable right now. They're not playing their best. They're just getting it done with their experience. The Bills, huge win over the Ravens. My opinion, I feel like the Ravens kind of lost that game more than the Bills won that game because they had so many chances to win. I want to pick the Bills in this one, but I'm going to go KC. I'm going to go KC. They just find ways to win. I still don't believe in Buffalo right now. I'm sorry. I still think Josh Allen's I've said it a few years ago, he's Phillip Rivers. He'll have great regular seasons, but then in the postseason, he's going to collapse. Always does. Not all his fault, but that's just how I look at it. That's just me. I'm going to go KC here. I know I hate to say that. A lot of people don't want that to happen outside of Kansas City, but the Chiefs have too much experience. They're getting healthy at the right time, and they're just going to find a way to do it and get back to the Super Bowl and try to win a third straight. So those are my picks. The Commanders and Chiefs in the Super Bowl in New Orleans in 2 weeks. There you have it, right there. So let's have at it with some of these comments. Here's Johnny. He says, this better be a great show. I interrupted my music for this. Lots of laughs. Okay. And he also says Liam Cohen is a piece of crap. You just don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel, Johnny. It is what it is. I'm not I really don't care. I mean, I've moved on. You know, Bucks are going to move on. Let them have fun in Jacksonville. See if he can light a fire up Trevor Lawrence's ass. I don't know. I worry more about the ownership. Cons, terrible franchise. Donnie says, I picked Washington too. All right, there you go. So me and Johnny got the Commanders. Bills finally get over on the Chiefs and move on. I mean, I hope so. I think it would be great. I really do. Last week's game, though, if the Bills had dominated that game more, I would be more confident picking the Bills. But the Ravens, just too many mistakes, too many drop passes, the turnovers. To me, the Ravens, I felt like controlled that game, especially in the second half, but it just wasn't enough. And I don't know. I just don't feel like the Bills right now are a team that can go into KC and beat them. Maybe in Buffalo. In Buffalo, I would say yes. But in Kansas City, like I said, the way this Bills team played last week, I don't feel confident that the Bills can go in there and beat KC. I just don't. That's just me. Sean Spencer says, What's up, buddy? Hey, Sean. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Says we are one day away. Yes, sir, man. It's congratulations, man. You guys, win or lose, this was a great season for you guys. Man, feels good to be a Commander fan. And I just read this morning about Dan Snyder. He's like upset about all this resurgence. That's great. Let him be upset. Who cares? You've moved on from him. Everybody has. So enjoy it. Have fun. And good luck to you guys tomorrow, man. Be rooting for you. I think you can do it. Commanders and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I like that pick. Yeah, me too. I do. I'm confident. I really am. Tampa Bay Rays fan, 2008. Thank you. My stance on Cohen hasn't changed. If he goes, my powers to him. If he stays, it's good as well. Either way, I'm not losing sleep. The Coneheads are losing their minds. Yeah, that's how I feel. Tampa Bay Rays fan. I'm not losing any sleep over it. We've lost coordinators before. We lost Canales to Carolina. Okay, Baker's fine. He'll be okay. I'm not panicking at all. No, do I like the way he went about it? No, it was crap. But I'm not gonna let it live rent free in my head. I'm just not. So yeah, let him move on. Again, I doubt that. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to have success more because of the ownership there. They just make too many questionable, decisions that, don't give me a lot of confidence that they'll, field a successful team year in and year out. That's why they're always in the top 10 in the draft. So, yeah. Let Snyder cry. Yeah. Let him cry. Let him swim in his tears. Definitely. I haven't moved on from Sam Howell. Oh, come on, Sean. Come on. You got your franchise quarterback the next 10 years. I know he's your UNC buddy, but Jaden Daniels, come on now. Got the franchise. He's great. He's a game away from possibly getting to a Super Bowl. You would trade that for Hal? No, I know you wouldn't, but I know what you're saying. KC hasn't been a terror either. I just think if Allen is going to do it, it really has to be this year. And I do agree. I think it's now or never for Josh, because Mahomes is not going to go anywhere for the next few years. So, and it could be one of these things where it's the Brady Manning situation in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, where Brady and the Patriots are just the better team than the Colts. Peyton Manning just couldn't get over that hump. Maybe this is the year Josh Allen does. And again, I hope it happens. I really do. Maybe that, this could be Josh Allen's Peyton Manning moment where he gets over Mahomes Brady type thing. It could very well happen. So he says, I got something to say, sir. May I speak? Yeah, go ahead, Sean. I'm going to be on there just for a few more minutes, but go ahead and get it in while you can. Johnny says, I don't give a shit about Cohen moving on. It's the bullshit way he used his daughter to do it. Yeah, no, I agree. It was creepy. I didn't like it either. But, whatever. Move on. Just don't let it live rent free in your head. I'm not. Tampa Bay Rays fan, I'm still laughing at the people wanting Cohen to be head coach during the season. Fire Bulls, dumbasses. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I said earlier, Tampa Bay Rays fan. Why fire a guy that's won 3 straight division titles? He's Todd Bowles. Again, is he a top 10 coach in this league? I don't think so, but he's a good coach. Players play for him, and that's the most important thing. They play for him. They speak highly of him. So you're going to let that go for a guy who we don't even know is going to be a great coach? I keep hearing the McVay comparisons. Like, come on, we don't know that. He's only been an NFL OC for a year. So me personally, I think Cohen should have stayed another year, get some more experience, do the Ben Johnson thing when stay for another year, and better jobs will open up. Like the Jacksonville job, I mean, great, get the job, but like again, I don't have confidence that the Jaguars organization is gonna do anything special. I mean, their ownership's terrible, so. But and by the way, real quick, didn't the Bucks do this like a decade ago when they moved on from Levy to Dirk Cutter? How did that work out? That didn't work out well. Not to say Levy was a good coach. He wasn't. Levy was probably the most overrated coach in NFL history. That's a different story for a different day. So, yeah, so Cohen can move on. We'll be fine. Here's Johnny. JD5 is the best quarterback I've seen in my 50 years of football. That's very high praise. That's very high praise. And, so far he's doing great. Man, love watching him play. Cohen, Cutter, and Waiting. Yeah. Cutter, I think, is in Boise State still running that offense. That one, yeah. When is 2-3 Ben Zone coming back? Yeah, Sean, I'll let you know. We're gonna do. I think what we'll do is we'll do like a have at it 2-3 Ben Zone, where we'll talk strictly college basketball. I'll get you on. I'll let you know. I'll DM you, and we can talk hoops, man. This is NFL season about to end. We got to have something to talk about. And March Madness is coming up. I cannot wait. Got a lot of good college basketball stuff going on this year. Again, with the realignment of the conferences, it's going to be a lot different, but should be a lot of fun. Cannot wait. I want to speak my piece about Sam. Okay. Oh my God, Johnny, stop. He's not the best. Well, I know. I mean, it's high praise, but we'll see what happens. Lovey coming to the Bucks that time was Sam Weiss 2.0 bridge crap placeholder. Honestly, that was two things. One, that was to get the bad Shiano taste out of the fans' mouth. That was the Glazers, who that time stuck their nose in football business, did not let football people know how to run things, and they hired him first before they hired Jason Light. So, and number two, the Bucks, I think, really thought Lovey would be the next guy, the next Dungy, give him success. But by that time, he was past his prime. And a lot of people say Lovey was a great coach. I disagree. Look what he did in Chicago. I mean, yeah, he went to a Super Bowl, but you have to think about this. That was in his third year as a head coach. You know how many times he made the playoffs after that? Once. That's it. That's it. So I was never high on it. I wasn't too high on it when they hired him. I understood it because he was in Tampa, but at that time, but come on. I mean, it was ridiculous. That he's never gonna have success there. I mean, how can you have a 2-14 record when they were 4-12? How could you make that worse? I mean, look what he did. Like he traded away probably the best cornerback in the NFL at that time in Darrelle Revis. Now people will say, well, he couldn't run the cover two, Tampa two. Like, okay, but he was one of the best in the league. Yes, he's a man-to-man cover guy, one of the best. You couldn't figure out how to make him fit in your system, but they said it was a financial thing. Like, okay, well, what'd you get for that? You got Josh McCown, really? Um, Michael Ghost Johnson. Where's he? Where's he at? I don't see him anywhere. He's a ghost. Who? Alteron Werner? Are you kidding me? Anthony Collins? What? You used Darrelle Revis' money for that? And you saw why he went 2-14. Okay. That's why. He wasn't a good coach. And that was before Jason Light could really work in the front office here. Those were Lovey moves, not Jason Light moves. Okay. Here's Johnny Prove Me Wrong, Sean. Talk about the best rock bands of the 90s. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that, Johnny. We can do an episode on that. I'm very open to suggestions. So let me know. Who was Lovey's quarterback in Chicago or in Tampa for that matter? Well, yeah, wasn't a great quarterback, but also he had great defense. And you got to look back, Johnny. That division wasn't great at that time. Minnesota wasn't very good. Green Bay wasn't very good. They still had Favre transitioning to Aaron Rodgers, and then Detroit was awful. So, he had an easier time winning that division. But like I said, if he was a great coach, why after the Super Bowl he only made one playoff appearance in his final 6 years there? That speaks more about Lovey than anything else, in my opinion. Sean, he's up there in the best rookie seasons, but the best is a stretch. Now, if we're talking rookie quarterbacks over the last 50 years, then I can somewhat agree. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Definitely the best rookie quarterback in the last 50 years. I would agree with that, for sure. I mean, just seeing what he's done, developing, just evolving, and playing great at the right time. But let's give credit to that offensive line. Now, I will say the Cosme injury, the center, that's going to hurt. Not losing your center, that could play big, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't affect him. Sam Weiss was great in Cincinnati. Yeah, he went to a Super Bowl. Don't forget Lovey's last year in 2012. The Bears were 7-1 and missed the playoffs at 10-6. Yeah, that's fair. But again, though, Sean or Tampa Bay Rays fan, the division at that time wasn't great. We had Green Bay. That was it. And they lost to Green Bay in the title game, I believe. So, again, solid coach, yeah, great coach. Sean, you need a community show where we can all reunite. Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah, why not? We got to do that one day. Pick a time. We'll talk about it among the DMs. I'm definitely want to do that. Get a good old let's talk football or NFL edition. Remember those days? Tampa Bay Rays fan. Also, Rivas with the Bucks that time was okay playing for them. He wasn't the Jets version of him. We needed a change of scenery. Well, you got to remember, Tampa Bay Rays fan, Pharrell Rivas came off a torn ACL. For a guy who made the Pro Bowl on one leg that year for Tampa, let's remember, he played on pretty much one leg. Same with Chris Godwin in 2023. He played pretty much on one leg. He was still trying to heal. Same thing with Rivas. You know, listen, I was okay with the move because if you think about it, the one good thing that Mark Dominic did was he didn't guarantee any money. So we were able to get out of that contract. But when you have the best corner in the football at that time, find a way to use them. Okay? I think people were too. I think the reason he gets so much hate in Tampa is because Rivas said is because he was an outsider, you know. But and it was during the Shiano days. So for me, I loved having Rivas. Was he his Jet version self? No, but he was still one of the elite corners in the league. And look what happened the next year. He went to New England, won a Super Bowl. So, you know, tells me he's pretty damn good still. Played at a high level. You know, so no, I respectfully disagree. Rivas was great for us. Just should have had more time here in Tampa. Here's Sean, a quarterback who is challenging every single NFL record and playing that lose has never happened before. Sean, like I said, he's the best I've ever seen. No one has seen his like before now. Yeah, it's good, no doubt about it. It's definitely something we haven't seen in a long time. But you know, he's amazing. You got to give him credit for that. Oh, you're right. Right guard. I'm sorry, Sean. I apologize. Cosme was our right guard, but you're absolutely right, especially against that D line of Philly. Yeah. Again, that's a tough injury, man. I hate seeing that, you know. But we'll see what happens, you know. Who knows? Maybe whoever fills in for him can step up and play well, you know. Gonna have to, you know, if they're gonna win this game. His best quarterback was Jay Cutler. Yeah, I agree. And again, you know, the Bears, that's a quarterback, you know, graveyard, you know. So it's fair. But again, you know, I'm not putting Lovey as a great coach. He was a decent coach at best. I mean, but you know who also made Super Bowls as head coaches? Ken Wisenhunt. Okay. How long did he last in the league? Not very long. Okay. So there have been a lot of coaches in the end that weren't great that made the Super Bowl. Okay. So Lovey's not the only one, but yes, he was the best corner in the league. Also, at the same time, that defense and that coaching staff was horrible. Yeah, it wasn't great. It was not. Um, you know, they thought Rivas could turn that around, but he couldn't do it by himself. You know, you had a young Levante who's a future Hall of Famer, but at that time he was, you know, only a couple years into the league. McCoy, same thing, you know. But you know, I still think they could have found a way to use them. You know, really, I do. Shiano brought Rivas in because he was going to install a 4-5 game. Levy kept the T2, which eliminated what Rivas did. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Johnny, but again, when you have the best corner, one of the best corners in the league, you find a way. That's what makes great head coaches. Is you find a way to use them. Now, if it doesn't work out, okay, then maybe you move on. But just to cut him like that before you know what he can actually do, and then to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you use that money that you're going to pay Darrell to get a bunch of stiffs that didn't last very long in the NFL. To me, that's just bad coaching, bad, you know, hires, you know, for players, you know, like, and this is before Jason. And Jason Light was hamstrung. He came in after Lovey, so he couldn't really do much. You know, Lovey was doing the majority of the player personnel stuff. So yeah, like I said, you you could have found a way to use them. Now, if it didn't work out, okay, then you move on. But to do it before you could see what Rivas could do, how he would fit in the system, to me, it was premature, and it was just not a smart move. Shiano didn't build around the trenches; instead, he built it backwards. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very good, but at that time, yeah, Donald Penn, really good. Um, Davin Joseph, those guys were very good. Unfortunately, but then they got rid of them. Lovey got rid of them, which I don't know, didn't make sense to me. Um, Tampa Bay Rays fan says I will go with Philly and KC. Okay, cool. Lovey was horrible hiring offensive assistants in Chicago and Tampa Bay. Yeah. Hey, Lovey hire in Tampa. Marcus Arroyo, really? Like, come on. He hired Dirk, really? Um, what were you gonna do? Use him as a nickel? Yeah, you could have. How do you know if you don't try? Like, again, that's what I'm saying, Johnny. Like, he's one of the best corners in the league at that time. Find a way to use him. And if it doesn't work out, okay, then you move on. That's all I'm saying. Like, you don't just give up on at that time, one of the best corners in the league because it didn't, you assume he automatically doesn't fit your defensive scheme. You got to find ways to use him, you know? That's the thing. Like, I get why they wanted to change the scenery, but when he was your best player overall on the team, again, it was premature. They shouldn't have just released him right away. Lovey's defense didn't kill the team. Getting rid of 3 All-Pro linemen did. That's part of it. But also getting those replacements for Rivas, Werner, really? Like, yeah, maybe fit your system, but can you ever remember a play Alteron Werner made? I don't. That's why he's not in the league. He didn't last very long. All right, and let's see. Rivas is nickel and Rondi in safety, maybe. But I believe Rondi was gone by then. So, but it is what it is. So, well, everybody, I hate to do this, but I got to step out. Got some stuff going on today, but I want to thank everybody that tuned in here on YouTube live. Got a lot of comments on there. Appreciate that. Love having everybody on here. Sean Spencer, Johnny, Tampa Bay Rays fan, Zagniv. Real quick, Lovey's OCs, Terry Shea, Ron Turner, Mike Martz, Marcus Arroyo, Jeff Tedford, Cutter, and whoever was in Houston. Yeah, except for Martz. I mean, not very good. Are y'all talking about past years for Tampa Bay? Y'all had Jameis. I don't want to hear. Yeah, that was, well, he was fun to watch. Like I said, gave both teams a chance to win every week. So, but he was fun to watch, no matter how you felt about him. He just wasn't a guy that was going to lead you to playoffs and Super Bowls, But he was fun to watch. So. Rondi was still here. No, I think he retired in 2013. 2012 or 2013, I believe it was. Yeah. Yes, he was, Johnny. Last year was 2012. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, it was before Rivas got here. So, all right. Well, everybody, hope I read all the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Have At It. One more time, I got the Commanders and the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl in New Orleans in a couple weeks. And yeah, let's see what happens. Let's enjoy it. Sean, Will Kramer, good luck to you guys this weekend. Thank you, Ben, says Tampa Bay Rays fan. Appreciate that. And great stuff, Ben. Thank you, Sean. Again, good luck to you guys this weekend. Oh, and I did see your comment from the last show, Tampa Bay Rays fan. We are going to talk baseball. When it gets close to baseball season, I'll give you my predictions. Yes, I'm a Dodgers fan, and yes, I'm getting a lot of it from a lot of people. You're ruining your team's ruining Major League Baseball. I know we'll get into that later on. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in this morning. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time right here on Have At It. Take care.